about a house. Could be interesting. A couple fellas I heard in town, they said it was really freakish. Family local boogeymen, I guess. But they're crooked in every way. They're highway robbers, kidnappers, apparently. Family's been isolated for so long, they started talking in their own weird dialect. They really don't like outsiders, especially on their turf.
Any folk steps on this soil, they don't leave. The Outlanders blandish you, surely they will. Now you've got to keep strongly for the awakening.
Yeah, that's that one we keeps in the woods. Pappy was boiling when he sees her, don't you?
Oh, what the hickory's her name now?
Digs her up an ass, don't you?
Bend to the brandishing, cause there's nothing but damnation out there. We keeps apart like we always keeps. The Outland's in the shadows, like I says it is. The free are still surely in the world to come, so no more of this dippy yakety.
The Porter family are an extremely secretive and reclusive family who live at the secluded Shea Porter property in the eastern Grizzlies region of the state of Ambarino. The Porters are so intensely withdrawn and private, and have been for such a long time, that they have developed their own dialect which features strange terms and gibberish. They have established and cultivated their own apocalyptic religious sect and are inbred. In addition, the Porters are ruthless and immoral criminals who regularly rob, kidnap, and murder citizens of Ambarino, West Elizabeth, and New Hanover. It is also believed that the Porters are in possession of a lot of money and valuables, which they have amassed from their victims and have it stashed at Shea Porter. The Porters are very dangerous and extremely hostile to all outsiders, who they call Outlanders. They have no qualms over killing any Outlanders who may trespass on their property. In addition to their hostility for Outlanders, the Porters are also very hostile to the world outside of Shea Porter, which they refer to as the Outland. Pappy Porter also emphasizes that the Outland is in the shadows. The Porters believe that an apocalyptic event called the Awakening will eventually arrive one day, and with it, a new world will be born. The Porters believe that any unnecessary contact with the outside world and Outlanders will have a detrimental impact on their purity for the Awakening. There are 7 known members of the Porter family who reside at Shea Porter. Pappy, who is the leader and patriarch of the family, Edie, Newt, Mal, Finney, plus 2 unnamed sons. It is suspected by many Red Dead fans that Pappy's only known daughter, Edie, has been having an incestuous affair with her father and could also be the mother to some of her younger brothers. Upon completing Chapter 1 and beginning Chapter 2, the player can make their way to Shea Porter and confront the porters. Once the porters have all been killed, you can loot their property for a little bit of money, while also acquiring and therefore unlocking the pump-action shotgun. However, it's recommended by many that instead of rushing to take out the Porter family, it's best to periodically visit Shea Porter undetected, so you can eventually overhear their dialogue and discover additional lore regarding the isolated and twisted family.
Googling at what a raggedy squirreler you is.
You sees when I get a woman like that, don't you? Frazzle dipping all the night.
Frazzle dipping you little pullywag, more like.
We has that one we keeps in the woods. Happy was boiling when he sees her, don't you?
Oh, what the hickory's her name's now?
Digs her up an ass, don't you? Your next run to market, I combs my hair all flowy like I says to the girl, good morning. You watch now.
I tell you, every time, no jacketing in the market. Newt and Edie takes the wagon now, don't they? Now shut your gulpers. Do it right on that jigsaw.
Like tangle in that now.
Surely stuck here like hog pins now.
Got all the envies right here.
I don't want no different. But you, me, Ma, Finney, we spoke road now.
The Outlanders will blandish you. Surely they will. Now you got to keep strongly for the awakening.
But on 20 years we wait.
We got to keep clean now, don't you? Now goes watch the shed, you dippy plimick. For Pappy spunks his top again. Any folk steps on this soil, they don't leaves. Okay now?
Okay, Edie.
You to be the tall man here, Finney, now, don't you? Mal and Newt, they sees you veering squirrely, they veer squirrely likewise. When they fails me, you fails me. Don't bend to the blandishing, 'cause there's nothing but damnation out there. We sells to 'em, don't you? But we keeps apart, like we always keeps. The outlands in the shadows, like I says it is. We're free and freer still surely in the world to come. So no more of this dippy yakketing, you hears?
I hears.
Go on with you now. Sleep deep.
Sleep deep, huh?
After rescuing Sean McGuire from Ike Skelding's bounty hunters in West Elizabeth, Javier Escuela will provide you with a home robbery mission for Shea Porter. In this mission, Javier shares with Arthur the local gossip he overheard while on Valentine regarding the Porters and their large homestead. They're extremely isolated and secretive and have a lot of money, but are also very dangerous as they rob, kidnap, and murder at will. Javier and Arthur agree that due to the large homestead's deeply secluded location, the prospects for success are decent, as the likelihood of being discovered and apprehended by the law is not likely.
I heard about a house. Could be interesting.
What kind of a house?
I don't know. A couple fellas I heard in town, they said it was really freakish. Family local boogeymen, I guess. But they're crooked in every way.
So
These boys thought they were sitting on a lot of cash. They're highway robbers, kidnappers apparently. They're well hidden in the woods.
Sounds pretty dubious.
Of course, yeah, it's dubious, but there ain't much risk of getting caught.
Okay then. Let's go take a look.
Exactly. Just take a look. Apparently, this family's been isolated for so long, they started talking in their own weird dialect. They really don't like outsiders, especially on their turf.
Well, you just keep selling me on this job, don't you? I ain't sure about this.
Boy, I think we need to draw them out somehow. And I got an idea. Follow me. Just stay quiet.
This time one's mouth.
Creepers, Finn. Don't score notions at the dippy Plymouth's head.
Where you been now, Newt? Don't be boiling now, Pappy. I's gone but 10 minutes I was.
You can hollygag all an hour day long, cause Edie takes patrol now, don't you?
What? No, Edie, get all the jam.
You shut your gulper, or I'll flagger your felt, I will. Your niece will pull it up, boy. Up. Go guard the shed.
Go!
You understand what they're saying?
Not much of it. What we doing, Javier?
Okay, you take cover by the rock over there. I'll create a little distraction, then you jump them, okay?
What kind of distraction?
You'll see.
Oh, swanking heck! What the hickory happened here?
We got to put this out, don't you? Oh.
Hey, aquí.
The hickory? I'll flyer your belt!
I don't see any more of them. All right, quick. Let's look for the stash.
They weren't shy about defending that barn. Let's check in there first.
Has to be under here. There's no place else that could store it. Hey, Arthur. Give me a hand here.
Ah, well, look what we have here.
I told you it was worth the trouble, didn't I?
Here, you take this. Let's split up.
I'll meet you back at camp.
Sounds good.
Upon completing the home robbery mission for Shea Porter with Javier, the Porter family will not respawn or appear again in the game's story, indicating that they have been eliminated by Arthur and Javier. Regardless, some of the dialogue featured of the Porters when you visit but don't attack the family at Shea Porter not only reveals their steadfast devotion to their apocalyptic beliefs, but also the fact that Mal and Finn were discussing a woman they kidnapped.
That girl at the market, googling at me again.
Googling at what a rugby screwer you is.
You sees when I get a woman like that, don't you? Frazzle dipping all the night.
Frazzle dipping your little pullywag more like.
We has that one we keeps in the woods. Happy was boiling when he sees her, don't you?
Oh, what the hickory's her name now?
Digs her up an ass, don't you?
Countless Red Dead fans have made the connection and are in agreement regarding this woman that the Porters kidnapped and murdered, that she was the mother of the 2 children who lived at Clawson's Rest, which is relatively close to Shea Porter, southwards along the main trail. While a theory, this connection is extremely plausible and highly likely, as the mother bared the twisted hallmarks of the Porters. The victim was robbed, kidnapped, and ultimately murdered. The horror of Clawson's Rest is arguably one of the most heinous tragedies within Red Dead Redemption 2's entire story. The shocking and gruesome discovery really showcases the sheer cruelty and depravity of the Porter family. In the drawer next to the horrific scene is a note from the boy's mother. Glenn and Eddie have gone to track down those men and get our money back. The door's locked and the windows are boarded shut. Promise me you won't answer to nobody who comes calling, even if you think you know them. There's enough food and water for 4 days or more, but I should be home by tomorrow night at the latest. Practice your reading and writing for me. All my love, Mama. Glenn and Eddie either starved to death or died of dehydration due to their mother's absence, who was kidnapped and murdered by the Porters. The Porters are directly responsible for their deaths, as the 2 young boys were deprived of their mother and only parent, a truly horrifying consequence of the sadistic Porter family. What has immediately stood out and struck me whenever I approach Shea Porter is the fact that there was a fire in the woods very near to the property. In fact, the size of the fire appears to be considerable, as the carnage is extensive. The sight of the fire, and in particular the burned trees, certainly lends an ominous feeling as you approach the secluded property and homestead. In fact, there's several more sites in which there were forest fires. Further north on the trail, just east of Wynyard Strait, and slightly west of Katora Springs, is the location of another forest fire, albeit a much smaller one. But then, there's more. Just further along the trail, at Katora Springs, are more clear signs of another fire. Both of these locations are very close to Shea Porter. But then, there's still much more. This is the site of an absolutely massive forest fire, which wrought carnage on all sides of the trail, providing a clear indication of just how large it was, enveloping pretty much all of the trees in the surrounding area. But what's fascinating is the location of this fire, just slightly north of Clawson's Rest. In fact, this forest fire was so big that it nearly reached all the way up to Barrow Lagoon. Regardless, I believe that these fires are a major clue, which is a calling card of the Porter family, and in particular, a calling card indicating that this is where the Porter family struck and carried out crimes against random victims or outlanders, whether they were robbed, kidnapped, or murdered. I believe that these fires are set by the Porters to welcome the oncoming of the awakening, as well as an expression of the Porters' contempt of the Outlands, which they believe is full of damnation. I believe that the Porters didn't just strike and rob, kidnap, and murder Outlanders in the area just north or south of Shea Porter, but in fact have struck all throughout the neighboring states which surround Amberino. This is the site of an absolutely epic forest fire, which appeared to engulf much of Blackbone Forest in West Elizabeth. This area really stands out, as the fire was not only massive, but stands in quite stark contrast to the surrounding areas of the forest, which were not enveloped by the fire. I believe that I have found a second major clue located inside the main cabin at Shea Porter. Just to the right of the entrance to the main cabin is a desk, and sitting right on top of this desk is a railroad and state map of the United States. Upon getting a closer look at the map, I couldn't help but notice a magnifying glass on top of the map. However, I believe this magnifying glass is strategically placed at this specific location. Within this location are the locations of a massive brush fire, and of course, the ruins of Limpany. After careful and extensive examinations of the railroad and game map, while scrutinizing the area of New Hanover highlighted by the placement of the magnifying glass, both the ruins of Limpany and the brush fire are the intended locations of interest. I believe that Limpany was identified as a target by Pappy Porter due to its relatively isolated location and small size, and ordered his sons to destroy the tiny settlement in order to expedite the awakening while condemning the Outlands for its damnation. I believe that there is no doubt about it, and that the clues and evidence are clear. Limpany, the nearby brush fire, and all of the other forest fire locations within Amberino, West Elizabeth, and New Hanover were set by the Porters in order to showcase their calling card that they struck in the immediate area, whether it was a robbery, kidnapping, or murder. I believe this calling card is also intended to accelerate the awakening, condemn the Outlands for its damnation, while maintaining their purity. The Cornwall kerosene and tar barrels are a complete red herring. These barrels can be found around the ruins of Limpany, and people have pointed to this as a clue that Leviticus Cornwall was behind the fire. However, these same barrels can be found in most settlements, including Strawberry and Valentine. And in Valentine, these barrels are reused for other purposes. The fact that there were many barrels in Limpany doesn't make a difference as well, seeing as there are many barrels in Valentine, often reused to store items which are not flammable. The third and final clue is linked to the brushfire site. Within the brushfire site are the remains of a person at a small campsite who appeared to have died in their sleep, despite a fire which raged all around them. I believe that this individual, or Outlander, was ambushed and murdered by the Porters. But more importantly, within the lockbox at the small campsite, you can find the recipe for the volatile fire bottle. When examining the railroad map on the desk at Shea Porter, you can clearly see a broken bottle directly on top of the map, near the magnifying glass. I believe that Pappy Porter not only ordered his sons to burn these locations to accelerate the awakening, but also produced the volatile fire bottles. I believe that my theory is correct, that it was the Porter family, on orders from Pappy Porter, to not only start forest fires wherever they lashed out and struck at the Outlanders, but also to destroy Limpany in order to accelerate the arrival of the awakening, condemn the Outlands for its damnation, and for the Porters to maintain their purity. Their apocalyptic beliefs perfectly align with the destruction found not only where the Porters have lashed out at the Outlanders, for instance in the area north of Shea Porter, but also near Clawson's Rest, Blackbone Forest, and Limpany, but also with the location designated by the magnifying glass placement on the railroad map, as well as the broken bottle on Pappy Porter's desk within Shea Porter.